A week's worth of action packed into a few hours. Mr Johnson's first outing at PMQs.
Have you lost control, Prime Minister?
Finally in the driving seat, but losing his grip on the wheel.
Can you still deliver Brexit?
A new PM who faces a forced Brexit extension. He knows he needs an election to have any hope of really leading.
Can I invite the Leader of the Opposition to confirm when he stands up shortly that if that surrender bill is passed, he will allow the people of this country to have their view on what he is proposing to hand over in their name with an election on October the 15th, Mr Speaker.
Trying to goad Mr Corbyn into granting him one.
I know he's worried about free trade deals with America, but there's only one chlorinated chicken that I can see in this House, and he's on that bench. Will he confirm again? Will he confirm that he will let the people decide? Let the people decide on what he is doing to this country's negotiating position by having a general election on October the 15th.
Mr Corbyn saying it's the Prime Minister who's running scared.
He's desperate, absolutely desperate, to avoid scrutiny.
All a bit schoolyard, but taunts aside, Mr Johnson with nowhere to hide in this chamber.
We have seized back control from a Prime Minister who is behaving like a dictator more than a democrat.
Well, Mr Speaker, I'm a Democrat because I not only want to respect the will of the people in respect of the referendum, but I also want to have an election, or I'm also willing to have an election if the right honourable gentleman opposite's terrible bill goes through.
No slowdown in the Commons as MPs moved on to debate in a block on Mr Johnson's no-deal Brexit. The stage set for another round of the Tories' bloody civil war on Europe. This banished former Chancellor defiant.
There is no mandate for a no-deal Brexit, and a no-deal Brexit will be a catastrophe for the United Kingdom.
Mr Johnson's supporters defiant too.
And this is a squalid little bill. It's an affront to Parliament and to democracy and to the people. I despair at the defeatism of so many of my colleagues, and I hope that we will fight back and win in a general election for which I cannot wait.
The government defeated, they move straight to their next gambit to force an early election.
It is completely impossible for government to function if the House of Commons refuses to pass anything that the government proposes. And in my view, and the view of this government, there must now be an election on Tuesday the 15th of October.
He can have it, but with strict conditions.
Let this bill pass and gain royal assent, then we will back an election so we do not crash out with a no-deal exit from the European Union.
Yet another defeat. Mr Johnson's lost every Commons vote as Prime Minister. Losing the vote on a general election, does that mean then it's all off? The answer is no. It's still a question of when, not if. Labour divided on whether to call an election in the coming days once the no-deal law is passed, or whether to wait until November. But there's a good chance that Mr Corbyn will go earlier than that. He believes he can beat Boris Johnson in a general election and stop a no-deal Brexit at the polls. This Prime Minister won the 2016 referendum. He thinks he can win again with the help of those Brexit votes. If it backfires, he'll go down in history as the PM who served the shortest ever term. A huge gamble, but the only option he's got.